we're live. Hi, we're here. It's round 6 of the, where are we? The Team Series Virtual Realm Middle School event. What match are we seeing, Jake?
We're seeing a match between Kevin Nelson on Recurring Nightmare Survival and Lorian on Tinker, who we saw, I think, way back in round 1, before you even had a baby.
Yeah, things change so fast. Lorian's deck was pretty cool. Kevin's deck, I expect, will be pretty spicy. He's known for doing some pretty cool tweaks and adjustments to his brews. So
yeah, I mean, the coolest cards in his that I haven't seen as much in some of these other decks are he's got 4 Veteran Explorer, which is a pretty spicy one. So I assume he can hard cast some of these big threats. And he also has a Spirit Monger and a Spirit of the Night as his big dudes to bring back into play.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm pretty excited. It looks like they're starting off pretty quickly with a Duress and a Tinker gone from Lorian's hand. So,
good.
Does it look like he has a second copy?
Yes, it does look like a second copy of Tinker. Awkward.
Yeah. Although there is time to cast another Duress or Cabal Therapy before that comes up.
Sure.
So we'll see.
Hopefully the hidden card in Lorian's hand is also a Tinker.
Oh, it's a Duress, so if it was also a Tinker, it'd be bad news.
Oh, it's not. Okay. So Lorian pretty much out of gas here. He's got a bunch of mana, and he's got to draw something powerful.
And the tough part here is he's exhausted 2 Tinkers already.
Right. His namesake card is gone. Kevin has a Bird of Paradise, so he's ramping up the mana, but still doesn't have quite as much as Lorian does.
Yeah. As we watch a fair amount of mana get produced, we see a Winter Orb out of Lorian, which is a pretty good play here, although the Birds of Paradise does nullify it somewhat. Kevin Nelson, if you aren't familiar with Rec-Sur, it's a Recurring Nightmare Survival of the Fittest deck, so it is a little bit mana hungry. Survival of the Fittest lets you put 2 to your deck for cards, and importantly, actually discard them and put them in the graveyard. And Recurring Nightmare lets you bring them back out of the graveyard over and over. And so he has a lot of cards here with cool comes into play abilities, Utabi Orangutan, Wall of Blossoms, Monk Realist, things like that. But he also has some big fatty boom booms like the Spirit of the Night and Spirit Monger that we were talking about. Oh, and it looks like he has assembled Survival of the Fittest as well as a Veteran Explorer if he can find a way to sack it to get some more basics in play to fight that winner.
Yeah.
I wonder what the best way for him to fight this deck is, if it's just on the mana axis with Wall of Roots, or if there's any like really powerful cards against Tinker in his list.
Yeah, I would say that it sort of depends on what your deck presents you, but with Survival, like a lot of your options are ready to find. So
yeah. I mean, I expect the best way for him to go here is to get something large out and start attacking with it. If he can find a Recurring Nightmare.
Yeah, I was thinking that the aggressive plan here is probably best with the start that he's handed Lorian here, where Lorian doesn't have much, apparently.
Yeah, a Spirit of the Night races most things besides, like, a ton of snakes and Coat of Arms.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and I wouldn't expect Kevin necessarily to know that Lorian has those options available. He might not know anything about Lorian.
And Lorian found some gas, indeed, in the form of a Stroke of Genius
That's good gas.
For 6, 7? I think it's for 7.
Woo!
Yeah, that seems pretty good.
Yeah, that seems great.
And I mean, he still has a fair amount of mana even after this, right? If he finds a Tinker, he can keep his. He can very easily cast it next turn.
Right.
If he drew any lands, so
yeah. Yeah, I guess he goes and gets Mishra's Helix again if he has the Tinker. Just try and lock his opponent out. He's not in a great position to do much with Tinker, right?
I think if he tinkers, he probably gets Masticore and mows down those Birds of Paradise.
Okay.
Just because that's the way that's really like beating the an Academy Rector.
Can't mow that down.
Can't mow that down, and also presents a pretty annoying response to Masticore too, because you can't really attack with your Masticore into it. So this is a tough spot for Lorian. This Recurring Nightmare Survival deck has really got all the kind of pieces going that are important.
Sorry.
Hello. No, here.
This is my son Jesse. He's hanging out with me this evening, so he's got good thoughts on middle school as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And on your beard.
Yeah, he likes it.
All right, so we have a follow-up here from Lorian. He's played the City of Traders, making 5 mana, so maybe we're going to see that Snake Basket. Oh, no, it's a Thran Dynamo.
Thran Dynamo. Not as exciting.
Not nearly as exciting. Yeah, 4 mana still floating. He has some good options in this deck with a lot of mana.
Yeah.
And he did draw all the cards.
Yeah, it's
I guess...
I was going to say, refilling with that Stroke of Genius is pretty scary for the amount of mana that he had in play.
Stroke of Genius is one of those cards that I'm surprised we haven't seen more of, just because it was such a mainstay of the time period. Yeah. But it really is. It depends on big mana, and there aren't that many big mana decks outside of now Tinker.
Yeah, middle school has sort of done a good job of reining in a lot of the big mana options. So, I mean, like, you don't have Dark Ritual, and
look at that. There is that Snake Basket.
Your artifact options are a little weaker. But and no Tolarian. I think that was one of the big ones with the
Tolarian, High Tide, all these. I mean, those are really kind of decks that played that stuff. Man. He has Snake Basket and all of its mana for next turn. Does he have the Coat of Arms?
Or a
Tinker. Yeah. I'm very excited about that happening.
I want to see that happen on stream. We watched the previous match with this and missed it. But
interestingly, Kevin, I think, has some counterplay in that he has an Utami Orangutan main, which, depending on the timing of all these things, he could take care of a Coat of Arms.
Yeah.
Or he could just this turn go and get Utami Orangutan and blow up that Snake Basket.
Sure.
And it looks like that's what he's doing. Yeah. Boy, oh boy. Man. When survival is working right, it feels insurmountable.
Yeah.
Because they can get whatever they need. And I mean, I guess that's the whole point, but insurmountable, I know. You can't beat it.
We're learning new words.
Yeah, it's impressive to me that I mean, I guess he probably has to. He may or may not know that there's a Coat of Arms available, but going after the Snake Basket and identifying it correctly as the threat that it is, as opposed to going for the Winter Orb, is a real thing.
Well, I mean, it's obvious that Lorian's deck has a bunch of mana right now. Like, you can the Snake Basket is potentially a threat just for putting bodies on the board. Like,
yeah, I just expect that that Kevin can probably still race even 10 snakes with his deck, depending on what he's able to get and how quickly and stuff. But
right,
I guess he does have fewer of the utility creatures. There's no Genesis or a couple of the other things of that nature. Yeah. In a deck running all those Veteran Explorers, he does have a lot of basic lands, so he's in a very good spot. Although it can be tough to get survival going sometimes with that many basics, but he's in a very good spot against some of the non-basic hate. Again, seen so many approaches to how to handle the mana.
Right.
So it looks like Lorian has come out swinging with another threat. This time, the Masticore that we talked about, and it looks as though it's done some work here. It blew up those Birds of Paradise, but as we kind of all said, it's still not really good enough against the board that he's assembled.
Yeah.
Academy Rector. Wow, I'm surprised that he's attacking with all of his creatures here. But Academy Rector does provide a good wall. Maybe he's already put some damage on the board against Lorien. I don't know. Yeah, Lorien has life totals there. It's 15-20. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, two sets of those life totals. Yeah, he killed the Octavia. I'm surprised he attacked with the Octavia Orangutan.
He might have a way to get it back.
Oh, I mean, he almost surely does. Recurring Nightmare.
If he has Recurring Nightmare, like that seems like a great way to do it. Like,
yeah, but I don't know if Recurring Nightmare is a couple turns away, but
yeah,
we'll see. We will see. And I mean, at this point, he is racing pretty well, right? 3 against 4 when Lorien's at 13, right. He's at 20. Like, he wins that race, I think.
That sounds right.
Oh, yeah, I suppose that's right. It is actually 2, not 3 against 4. We have Academy Rector's a 1-2. Classic 1-2.
It's a very good squire.
Yeah, they both have really fair 1-2s in play.
Hi. Have a good time. Oh, good.
Killing it. Yeah, so things have certainly turned around here for Lorien.
Hi.
We got the Metaworker in play. He's attacking with Masticore at this point. And I imagine that he can cast most of his hand at this point if he has any more stuff to do.
Okay. Yep.
Played a second Winter Orb. So Kevin's going to untap 2 lands. Just kidding. I know that's not how it works.
Almost. Seems like it should be how it works.
It does.
Based on the wording.
Well, when there's 2 in play, they're both tapped. Wait, that's not right.
Yeah, right.
Magic's a weird game.
Magic, it's a super weird game. It's sometimes amazing to me that so many people play it and so many people have been playing it so long.
Well, I've committed just crazy amounts of the rules to their memory.
Yeah, right.
I always ask myself when I remember some obscure card or a way a rule works or something that like I have no business actually knowing, what else could be stored there?
Yeah, I could be doing so much more.
Yeah, identifying almost any card by art or name or yeah. Yeah, so I don't know. I feel like this is a little bit of a stalemate, though. Kevin did manage to get a Wall of Roots in play, which is very good here.
Sure.
Oh, he's got another snake basket.
It is.
Another snake basket. Looks like, I think that right there it was only, well, I guess we'll see a number of tokens. I don't know how much mana that was. Seems like he didn't have any other artifacts in hand, though. Oh, man, he's got the snakes.
Do we know? I hope he tells us.
Yeah, there's a die. Cannot read.
Jimmy, zoom in on that die.
Enhance. Oh, man. Yeah, that's impossible. Yeah, but he is also using words to communicate it.
Yeah, right.
Ooh. He drew a Cabal Therapy. That's a way to sack the old Academy Rector.
Yeah.
But what can he get? Is his only option here Recurring Nightmare? I don't think there's any other bomb one of enchantments. Yeah, it looks like just Survival and Recurring Nightmare. In the sideboard, he's got a Pernicious Eater too that he could get here that would be quite good, but I don't know that Recurring Nightmare is good enough, although it does, he can put a creature in the graveyard too. He's got 2 activations of Wall of Roots between his turn and his opponent's turn, so maybe. I don't know if the creatures are good enough here. Spiritmonger is pretty good on this board.
Yeah, potentially he could give at the Utabi orangutan and.
Yeah, it really just comes down to how many. Oh, and he gets some lands in play too. This is a good turn.
Yeah, no, this is good. Good.
That Cabal Therapy was gasoline.
So
yeah,
they
both
both
get 2 lands.
kills the Winter Orb first. Yeah.
I'm honestly a little surprised that he went after the Winter Orb first. Oh, I suppose that line makes it so that he cannot kill the Masticore because he has he has 2 mana from the
untapped lands from the Veteran Explorer.
Oh, I don't think Birds is the right card to get. I mean, yeah, there's an argument to getting back the other land card because it gives you a bunch more mana on your next turn. But I don't know. Yeah, this is one of the reasons that Survival is so hard to play. It's got so many potential lines.
Yeah. Well, everything is a tutor, and everything is a animate, and everything is a.
I think he just made 10 mana and is killing both the Wall of Roots and the Bird of Paradise with that Masticore.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it looks like the reason that he did the Masticore then, in addition to the fact that, Masticore is pretty good at killing all the blockers, he had to sacrifice his Masticore because he was out of to discard because of that Cabal Therapy. But he is attacking for a heck of a lot. For 6. And he's got that Veteran Explorer, which will let him get some more lands out on the following turn, which is another Recurring Nightmare activation, but he will be missing. He needs to have another land in his hand and a 1-drop, and he can Recurring Nightmare again. I suspect that he is done. I think that Kevin might be dead in this game.
Yeah, it seems like he needs a way to come back. A lot of his resources have just been tapped out. Not in the Magic sense.
It looks like he's down to 1.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that
You having a good time?
I think this was a well fought game. It was pretty good. That Stroke of Genius was a heck of a rip for Lorien.
Yeah. Well, it came at the right time and with the right amount of mana, and was apparently no slouch in the delivering good cards department.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. No slouch at all. Yeah. Jesse's no slouch either. He doesn't believe it. All right, well, let's see if Kevin can pull something out of his hat here. In addition to some basic lands out of his deck. Bum.
Yeah, I mean, he has to have like Pernicious Deed or something that would.
Yeah, post board.
Wipe the board, but he doesn't have enough mana to do anything anyway. So. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's possible that there could have been something where you just like cast the Recurring Nightmare, don't use it, use the mana from your Wall of Roots on his turn in response to getting shot by Masticore a bunch of times, but I don't know. It was a tough spot. He drew the right card.
So we're gonna look at.
Yeah, I'd like to see Kevin's sideboard here. I think there is some interesting stuff going on in there.
Oh.
Perfect. So what we have here, 4 Null Rod. Those get slammed right in.
Yeah, 4 Null Rods are very good.
Pernicious Deed, Root Maze. Probably the 4th Duress comes in as well. Sure. And honestly, there's an argument for Vindicates, but I don't know if you have a room. You have to leave a critical mass of creatures for survival to work. But yeah, I think Null Rod, Pernicious Deed, and the Root Maze are all cards I'd be pretty excited to bring in here. And yeah, Duress was very good to him in this first game. And yeah, we'll have to see if he brings in more than that. But yeah, the Vindicates is a card too. Yeah, an interesting survival sideboard for sure. I feel like oftentimes when you see a survival sideboard, it's a ton of one of it's a ton of one of creatures. Just because you have all those options. But I guess he decided to go a different way. Yeah. And hey, he's doing pretty well in the tournament. Why don't we take a look at what Lorian's got going? I know we've seen his deck earlier today, but if memory serves, there's not actually a ton of cards for this matchup.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it. I mean, he's got Propaganda. He can mess with the graveyard a little. He's got some Tormod scripts. But I don't think... I mean, none of those is especially exciting. I mean, I guess the Propaganda is...
Yeah, Propaganda with Winter Orb is still a pretty powerful thing, but
sure.
I don't... And I mean, like, Rushing River is a card... As Lorian said, he brings in every matchup just in case of things like Null Rod, but...
Null Rod, right. Yeah, he's going to bring those in.
Maybe the Upheaval, too. Upheaval seems quite good in this matchup. I think Upheaval is super good in this matchup because you can end up floating a lot more mana than 6, and you can replay all your artifact mana and race the bird, and as well as... Keep in mind that Kevin's deck, while it does run 4 birds, that's its... and 2 Wall Roots... most of its part of its acceleration pact is Veteran Explorer, which is not good against Upheaval.
Oh, sure.
So yeah, I don't know. I think it'll be a pretty interesting matchup. I think we saw just about the way that Kevin wanted it to go up until that Stroke of Genius in game 1. Duress, take all the Tinkers, and then really get your engine going. That Stroke of Genius just was too powerful.
Yeah, the Duresses were surprisingly good to me, or looked surprisingly good to me. They really left him without anything. It was surprising that... I mean, it was unfortunate, rather, that he found the Stroke of Genius so quickly, because a lot of his deck is, really mana or some sort of less exciting cards. I mean, he's got Tangle Wires and Winter Orbs that wouldn't necessarily have done much without the power of Stroke of Genius.
Yeah, and it looks like they're just about ready to get started again, deciding on mulligans and stuff like that. I think this should be a pretty interesting one. I'm intrigued to see what all Kevin brought in. I'm also intrigued a little bit just to see if we have a hand from Lorian that is a little bit more explosive than it was in the previous game, so he can get one of those Tinkers out before he gets all of his hand removed.
Right.
That is also the tough thing in this matchup about Masticore. Like, having no cards left, or not very many cards left, so that you're locked by Masticore early is a real thing.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Masticore is troublesome in that way. Like, it's a very powerful creature. It's very efficient, but like that upkeep cost is no joke.
It's real. Ooh, excuse me. I've been casting all day. But yeah, let's see how it goes. It also looks like Lorian had a mulligan again. We saw this in his previous match too. He had to mull down pretty low to find a workable hand. So he's down to 5 here. And Kevin came out.
Yeah, if you look at Lorian's deck list, like he really does have a lot of mana in it. I mean, there's a lot of things that don't do much without other stuff going on, like Metalworkers, Grim Monolith, Thran Dynamo, Voltaic Key. None of those are threats without something else good.
This opener from Kevin is pretty sweet. Turn 1 bird, Turn 2, ball therapy with. He missed.
Excited.
Takers to hit.
So wait, yeah, I mean, obviously you can do it for the second one. He's got the. I was wondering if he was going to take. It looks like he got the Masticore out of there.
Yeah, and leaves him with just mana. So he'll have a fair amount of mana here. I mean, he gets 2 islands off the Veteran Explorer, and he has the Voltaic Key and the Metalworker, but really nowhere else to go. A bunch of mana and nothing to do. So,
but it's one of those things where he top decks, Stroke of Genius again, or he top decks Tinker, or finds Snake Basket, and like everything's good, right?
Yeah, no, he has a fair amount of hits, but there is also some air on the deck still.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Grim Monoliths and Voltaic Keys and Metalworkers and Thran Dynamos and lands are all things you don't want to see. So
upheaval.
Coat of Arms.
Yeah. Yeah, and, I mean, Kevin's here is just hoping that he doesn't top deck Stroke of Genius or something else.
And interestingly, he played Survival here off the 2 lands that he went and got, and then used the bird to play another bird. I'm surprised he didn't go fetch something with his Survival with that mana, but I guess making sure to establish his mana through a Winter Orb's important too.
Yeah.
I guess I don't know what you get here with Survival either. His list again is a little bit shorter on just like random targets to be able to grab.
Sure.
But a Spirit Monger that you can cast. Ooh, he's tossing a Deranged Hermit. Man, that's a clock. We cast that card. Yeah, I wonder if he just goes to get Academy Rector. Yeah, and then he can like bring it back the other way and get in for a bunch of damage.
Sure.
Interesting. Yeah, if he has another therapy, it would be pretty brutal.
Yeah.
If
this just kind of seems like a game where Kevin has a lot of what he needs.
Looking at his hand, I think if he had therapy, he would have just cast it.
Yeah, he would have slammed it.
Interestingly, he doesn't have a way. He only has one way to deal with his own Academy Rector that he can survival for. I've seen a lot of these lists run Kerviken Horror, as it's a sack outlet and it comes back like Squee. He only has a Bone Shredder, which is a little bit different. But it serves the purpose. If you wanna get a Recurring Nightmare this turn, you certainly can do it.
It does the thing, yeah.
It's interesting. I think he definitely seems to have a plan here. Discarding
Did you need your chair? Should I get your chair?
He certainly seems to like standing up.
He does like standing up. That's his thing.
I wonder if was his last mana black? Was that the problem?
Yeah, the last mana he had on tap was City last turn.
Maybe he's just really worried about conserving his life total. It's interesting. I'm surprised he didn't do this on the previous turn since he had the extra mana. But or maybe he's holding something up. Does he have any? He has the Swords to Plowshares that he could have brought in. So he might be just holding that up out of respect for Masticore. Masticore would be pretty good against him here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there are a lot of lines. Oh man, and he got the he got that Utabi Orangutan and just blew up that Metalworker just so he could get in with his first 1 damage here.
We're going to win this game one way or another.
Oh, there's Metalworker number 2 to stifle his beatdown plans. Oof. Take that, Metalworker.
Can attack, and Lorian can double block and kill the Academy Rector. Lorian never played Magic before.
Yeah, that seems like the most likely thing that's going to happen is that Lorraine will block and and let him Rector here.
I know.
It's a bad play. We're just kidding. Yeah, no, I mean, I think that that Kevin has a lot of respect in this game for Winter Orb, and also just for the various powerful things that can come from Lorraine's deck. It's interesting. I think Kevin does not have he might not have another. Oh no, he has the Squee. I was wondering if he had another creature, but he appears, or he definitely does, because he has Squee going. Yeah. He can hardcast Spirit Monger this turn. It looks like, which is a way to get around worrying about Winter Orb. That is a big beefy boy.
Yeah.
And this is one of the things that's nice about playing Spirit Monger as one of your reanimatable creatures. It's imminently castable. Like this is, if Survival's not in play, but these other cards are, it looks like a rock deck, and that's a deck that many people play. It just also has some extra options here. So. Yeah, Spirit Monger is a good one. It does not lose too much. Upheaval is a card that it loses to. It's interesting. I just realized Lorraine played 2 Metaworkers on the last turn, or 2 turns ago, whenever that was. Metaworker is a lot better if you have a Metaworker in your hand to make mana, I would think, but I guess he is worried about the beatdown.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, he could have kept the second Metalworker in hand to make mana with the first Metalworker. Yeah, I can get behind that. And he has the Voltaic Key to make it even more potent.
Yeah, so if you have something like Snake Basket, being able to tap it for, 4 mana instead of 2.
Right. Yeah, if you're worried about being able to block, though. So he's trying to play a second Voltaic Key here.
Well, I think he's revealing that to his Metalworkers.
Oh, he's revealing it to Metalworkers. Oh, I see. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so he's at 4 mana so far. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I'm assuming that we're going to see a upheaval here.
Stroke.
Yeah, stroke for 8 instead is still pretty good.
Yeah.
Although he did take damage to do that. He's down to 12.
He's down to 12, doesn't have blockers.
I mean, if we can get a Spirit of the Night in play this next turn, I think he's dead on board,
Sure.
And I'm pretty sure that he can do that. So, assuming there's no Winter here, going to get that that Bone Shredder with your Survival, and then killing your own Academy Rector. Assuming the Bone Shredder's still in, maybe cut the Bone Shredder. That makes it tough. But I expect, though, and I didn't totally think this out, which Lorraine obviously did. He thought about tapping to draw more cards, but instead he's using that Voltaic after the after the fact to make so much mana. So we've got Mishra's Helix. We saw Winter Orb. We saw Tanglewire. Is he going to play the Winter Orb too, is my only question.
This Tinker deck has a lot more play than I expected based on what you guys were saying about unbanning it.
Yeah, I mean, it had the capabilities to do this for sure, but man, talk about those Stroke of Geniuses coming at the right time over and over.
Yeah,
right.
Right.
Yeah, he hasn't played a Tinker in any of these games. I think it's more about the artifact mana being a thing. Also, no, Kevin did not play a Null Rod in this game.
Oh yeah. You can't survival for it.
Wood Ripper is a card that you could potentially you could survival for. All right. Interestingly, he's still going to take a fair amount of damage here, right? At least 6. Depending on if he wants to tap the bird, both birds, or leave up the Spearmonger. But I mean, he's at 12. I think you just attack with Spearmonger here and make him block. There are some options. I'm not convinced that Kevin's out of this game yet. It's a pretty good board, but the fact that he has both birds and Spiritmonger and 5 permanents in play is super relevant. Oof. And the third bird. So here's the real question. Does Lorien have a Masticore hiding away in that hand? Or a Tinker? As far... and while he didn't reveal Masticore to Metalworker, he had enough mana to execute the plan that he was going for here. So he might have, had he had Masticore, played it because it would have been ultimately 2 more mana and been able to play it that turn and kill the birds, which is like as effective as doing some of these other things. But yeah, if he rips Masticore here, it's quite good for him. I don't know. I think that's the big out for him, or a Tinker. Yeah, and he had used up all of his blue mana before. Let's see what he has. He'll show us now. But he would have used up all his blue mana on the Stroke of Genius. So I think our big question here is whether he has a Tinker. What's the third card? Snake Basket? Oh, Kiki Tanglewire. I think it's Tanglewire. I think it's Key and Tanglewire, which means that he's going to be able to tap down all the permanents again. He certainly has a lot of mana. Wow. He went super low. Oh, jeez. There's the Tinker. 13. I think he has 10 mana floating. So do you get... Oh, Snake Basket. I was going to say Snake Basket, but I think that might have been his last card. Oh, no, he had all the artifacts. Well, and he can make a ton of mana here, right? Because he still has like 4 artifacts.
Yeah. Snake Basket was definitely the card I would get here.
Man, does Kevin have an out to Snake Basket?
Yeah.
Yeah. His options here are to make the most snakes or make slightly less snakes and play a Tanglewire.
Make the most snakes.
It would be pretty brutal if Kevin untapped his 1 land and just played Pernicious Deed. Has he played it looks as though he did play that second Tanglewire. And he made 7 1/1s with that thing. So yeah, that's 7. Yeah, that's all his permanents. But on the following turn, he will have access to... So if he takes 7 damage, yeah, I think Pernicious Deed is still an out, depending on what Lorien has left in his hand. Yeah, if it is Tinker Coat of Arms, it is the coolest thing.
That is very cool.
Man, yeah. Chaining Stroke of Geniuses for like 10 is pretty brutal. tapping down 5 permanents here to those 2 Tangle Wires. Yeah, is not interested in tapping his Mishra's Helix. Tapped one of his snakes, was willing to give up a point of damage to keep Mishra's Helix available. Rushing River with Kicker. Looks like he's targeting Spiritmonger and Rector. Oofda. Pernicious Deed is no longer an out. So, yeah. Oof. So I think he actually has 8 snakes, not 7 snakes. Because he tapped one of them down there and he just dealt 7. So Kevin has to tap those Birds of Paradise down to the 2 Tangle Wires.
This match has gone fast. We are at 10 minutes left in the round. I like that Jimmy decides that he can dictate to me on round.
Oh boy. It looked like we're having a bunch of survivaling happening in response to having to tap down all those permanents, which makes sense. I mean, if you're gonna,
Sure.
Fill up your graveyard, you might as well fill up your graveyard here because you can.
Yeah.
He got a Spike Feeder, a Spike Weaver, and I think that's a Spirit of the Night. A gold bordered black card.
With a lot of mana symbols, looks like Spirit of the Night.
Yeah, Spirit of the Night. And yeah, his last card he got was Bird. Sadly, he has a Plains as his last land now, not a Forest. That's what happens when you play 900 basics. I've decided Tinker is no longer the bad guy, and now Rec-Sur is because of its number of basics. I don't know why.
What? It's not that he's playing 900 basics. It's that he's playing the wrong color basic as his last one.
Well,
he's playing 899 forests and 1 plains, and that's the problem.
Yeah, so the problem is he's playing 2 plains.
Oh.
Yeah, questionable. Seems like it'd be a lot better if it was 1 plains, 1 windswept heath.
Mm. Did you drop your donut?
Looks like Lorian's getting in here for 8. Putting Kevin down to 3. He has to tap down 3 permanents this time to Winter or to Tangle Wire. But sadly, he does have a Mishra's Helix to tap down those lands before, so he can't use those for.
Man, I think I need to build this Tinker deck.
Yeah. Seems fun.
Do I need to buy snake baskets?
That's a card that I need to put in my cart.
Yeah, I know Coat of Arms is
roughly
pricey.
$1 million.
Yeah, all those commander players with their tribal decks.
It's funny because Coat of Arms is one of those cards that I like.
You remember it coming out and it was amazing?
I remember being super. Oh, it's not that bad. It's like $7, $8.
Oh, that's not that bad.
It's been reprinted a fair amount of times.
Yeah.
Oh, he had the deed. He just showed him the deed in his hand. So he was 1 turn off from just like taking him to the Stone Age. Man, that game was a heck of an argument for Metalworker. Metalworker was insane in that game.
Yeah, Metalworker is very good if you cannot get rid of Metalworker, which is what we were talking about the first match with them, where it was, or with Lorian's deck, where it was just he was worried about it being fragile.
Man, Snake Basket. Oh, don't worry, Snake Basket is not expensive.
I didn't expect so, honestly.
It's true. It's the same price as the not gold border one. Oh no. Well, yeah, so we're going to try and get either both of those guys or one of those guys in here for an interview. So we'll see you in a moment. We're just going to change cameras. Be right back. Well, welcome back to Kevin and Lorian here. Man, what a fun last match of the day. That was a good one to have on stream. A lot of back and forth, a lot of well-timed stroke of genius draws or cats.
You're telling me.
Yeah, it was really good to come back to that Tinker deck. We started with that this morning and came back to it this afternoon. It still looks great. That was a lot of fun. Kevin, sorry things didn't work out for Rec-Sur, but your deck looked cool too. You put a lot of stuff into play.
Yeah, it was a really cool deck.
I mean, that's the goal of that deck. More than winning, it was just seeing how much fun stuff I could play. So.
Well, and you have a pretty good I don't have survival, but I can still do some stuff deck. You can cast a lot of your big guys because you have the veteran explorers.
Yeah.
And like Spiritmongers cast, I mean, it's only 5. Like I feel like some of these decks go harder in on, I'm going to survival and recurring nightmare a ton of stuff, and then they can't actually execute because they don't have one of the pieces.
Yeah.
But yours seemed a little bit better suited to that, so that's cool. I was wondering.
Spirit of the Night in the previous round, like a hard cast one.
Nice, so. That's awesome.
I was close until that Winter Orb came down.
That Winter Orb and that Mishra's Helix and 100 mana from Valerian. I was going to ask you. You didn't see a ton of your sideboard cards of the Pernicious Deed. I saw you flash at the end. I'm surprised that there aren't more one of creatures in the sideboard. I feel like that's a classic thing for these survival decks to do. And you went hard on the no creatures and like kind of repeated effects. You have 4 null rods, which I know Lauren would have been pretty sad to see.
Yeah, I dodged that bullet. Jesus.
So I anticipated a lot of Tinker decks, obviously, and then Eggs is common. So I figured 4 null rods is good. And then my creature toolbox, I have one of answers to everything in the main. So I don't have to pull them out of the board. I have answer to artifact, enchantment, creature, just in the main.
Yeah, that's fair. That's reasonable. Yeah, I mean, obviously it worked pretty well for you today. You had some good matchups and stuff, and it's a cool sideboard. I think it's probably pretty effective. There's also a root maze in there. I wanted to point out. You had a lot of hate for you, Tinker. So Lorian, we saw at the beginning of the day. After playing throughout the whole day here with Tinker, do you have any thoughts for us? Is Tinker too good?
I don't think Tinker is too good. I think you can disrupt it. Obviously, you can do a Hail Mary stroke of genius. I wasn't sure whether I should be playing 2 or 3, but I mean, like it's brought me back from so many situations all day long.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't think it's too good. I mean, my 2 losses were to white-red aggro. That guy had Swords to Plowshares for my Masticores, Disenchants, and he, in a really critical turn, he Pyroblasted my Propaganda.
Oof. And yeah, Pyroblast is a good card against you generally, it seems like.
Oh, yeah. And my other loss was to Grixis Control, and he also Pyroblasted a really crucial spell. So
was that John Hammock?
Yes. Yeah. Those were really fun games. But all the games I've had today have been pretty fun. Probably not so much fun for some of my opponents sitting on the other end of a Winter Orb, but...
Yeah, Winter Orb Mishra's Helix is a tough one. But yeah, I mean, I think that's what I expect, right? The hard control decks probably have a pretty good matchup against you. Or in the case of that white-red deck, man, I think he was running well today, and he had a lot of different, diverse answers. And I assume you don't have defense grids in that matchup.
I wouldn't put him in, no.
Yeah.
I mean, it was down to the wire. It was 3 games. He got in with a shadow creature with Imperial Armor. in the third game. So like,
yeah, I honestly, I feel like we've talked about that deck and no one was building it, and he did really well today. I was impressed by that deck. And we saw him on camera. He had a great match against Erratic Explosion Draco, which that deck also looked great today. Yeah, what about you guys? Were there any other fun decks you saw out there in the world? I've been asking this to people since like after the first or second round. You see anything else? What was your favorite deck you played against?
I liked John's deck, even though I lost to it. And anything lose to Urza's Rage, it's
yeah.
I mean, it's great.
I played my fellow Lord of the Pit, Bob Agra, and he was on a Lurin, which I think is really not played that much. And it's hard to interact, even when you've got a bunch of mana for Masticore. Once a Lurin comes down, then there's just like all of these instant abilities. So that was pretty sick.
Yeah, I think that's a deck that really, similar to your deck, it struggles the most against counter decks. And like I think he has some Xantid Swarms and some Force of Wills of his own, but like if somebody's playing like a dedicated control deck, I think they only really care about like 3 spells in your deck. Right. So they can just sort of save up for those, and it can be tough. But no, that's a cool deck. We saw him on camera too against Caffrey's deck, the Upheaval Mana Bond deck. I don't know if you guys saw that one at all.
I didn't know. That sounds great.
Yeah, it was awesome to watch. Not very good against Alurin, as it turned out. Not enough interaction to beat Alurin. Cool. Yeah, no, and John has been loving that Grixis control deck for a while. He's got it all gold bordered. That's his pimp for the format.
Oh, I didn't even notice. That's great.
Yeah, I think that actually restricts him a little bit because he's like, well, I'm not going to play a card if it's not gold bordered. Why would I do that? So he has like a limited.
Oh, right. Oh my God, that's incredible that he goes to that effort. Yeah, those games were great. We went to 3 games, and I basically had dealt myself a bunch of Ancient Tomb mana.
Yeah.
And it had the Winter Orb Mishra's Helix lock. Oh. But I finally got a threat out with like a Masticore done in a couple turns, but he drew the Lightning Bolt to clinch the game. It was such a good ending.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, that deck really relies on the fact that everybody else is dealing themselves a ton of damage. And he played against, or it's similar to the Draco deck, and the Draco deck was playing against the same white-red opponent you were talking about, and he's like, that last 4 points of damage, it's a really similar idea, except I think John's a little more controlling, and the Draco Explosion deck only has to deal 4 more, so it's a little bit easier. But like, they're both sort of keying on the fact that everybody's dealing themselves a ton of damage, and if you don't, it's a lot easier to beat a deck like John's, I think, or a deck like the Draco Explosion. But yeah, no, yeah. So Kevin, you played against the Grixis control deck. What else did you play against today?
Illusions of Grandeur. That was
nice.
With blue green.
Oh, like actual illusions donate.
Yeah, illusions donate.
Nice. Was that Evil Mailman? I forget his actual name.
Robert Fofligan.
Yeah, Robert.
Yep, that's it.
I got around it with spike feeders though.
Oh yeah.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
So interestingly,
and then I also played against Mono Green Stompy.
Oh yeah.
But I had to buy round 2 after I lost to John. So.
That's tough. Yeah.
That we saw that Mono Green Stompy deck on camera, and he actually did pretty well today.
I think it was actually a different Mono Green Stompy.
Oh really?
I don't think it was Tristan. It was.
Was there a second? There was a second Mono Green Stompy after the Big C.
Yeah, I mean,
I didn't think Tristan, but it might have been. Yeah, Big C. Yeah, it was so.
Yeah, it's funny how just putting a clock on people like is like a real thing. I think that's one of the things that's good about the format. Like these monocard aggro decks really are police because so much of us, so many of us stumble on mana or whatever else. Like that's a real thing. Well, usually it's red, but
well, they're very consistent. Like there's almost all the colors have something going on where it's just like I can put a bunch of aggro on the board and then kill you on turn 4, turn 5 if you stumble, if you are trying to goof around, whatever, like they'll get you.
Yeah, the veteran explorers were interesting against mono green stompy.
Oh yeah.
But I managed to power out an early Spirit Monger game 1 against him.
Oh yeah.
Off of veteran explorer mana, and that kind of stabilized things.
Yeah. I think the that deck, the Tricks deck you were talking about, was also running Oath.
Yeah.
That deck
It was
is
all
sweet.
white border.
Yeah, he whiteboarded the whole thing.
Yeah, he whiteboarders it.
He's a madman.
Yeah, the white-bordered morphlings and everything.
But that was an actual deck in the Tricks era. There was an Oath Tricks deck in the format that people played. But I tried it at some point in here and couldn't get it to work. I'm glad he had a little bit of success with it, but, and got to play it. It's a fun idea. It's hard to make it all work.
You have a lot of 3-ofs because you're trying to cram so much in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It leans hard on intuition to get those 3-ofs, like to get one of those 3-ofs. But it's a cool list. I was very impressed all around just by the decks that people had. I mean, I said this to Nat and Jimmy. I've said it a bunch of times today. Like every matchup we saw was fun and was interesting. But also,
this was a ton of fun. There were a bunch of interesting decks that I hadn't really thought of. Some stuff that I had thought of that people were doing in different ways. I mean, it's like there's a lot of variety in middle school.
Did Sly or Goblin show up at all?
I think there were 0 mono red decks.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's great.
Yeah.
I mean, I play mono red on occasion, but yeah, I thought this would be a good opportunity to play something a little more fun than just like the established decks.
Yeah. I think a lot of people agreed with you. Yeah, so the other decks that we didn't get a chance to see today on stream, but that I heard about or saw were Ben Revel was playing Mono Black Hatred. He had Culling the Weak and Lake of the Dead to power out Hatred on turn 3.
Cool.
Yeah, there was a Reanimator list that looks pretty good. He has Oaths in the sideboard, which is a thing that's a nice, like, in addition to show and tell, is a way to just dodge all the graveyard hate. Just a couple of Oaths, but that's some cool tech. We didn't see Fernando's list, but heard about it from some other people. It's a blue-green survival opposition Tradewind Rider deck. I feel like, yeah, it only has a couple copies of survival, and it has all the oppositions. It has Winter Orb, Deranged Hermit, Living Witch. It's
Rootwalla and survival.
It does not play Root Walls. I have a version that doesn't run opposition, but does run Tradewind Riders, and I run Root Walls and found them to be very good, but he went a different direction. He has, it looks like he has a couple copies of Squirrel Nest, no Earthcraft, but just those to make more tokens for opposition. Yeah. Which was, that was a deck. The Squirrel Opposition deck was a real deck in Standard, I think. Oh, yeah. I almost forgot about that one, the 3-color Wizards deck we missed. We didn't get to see on camera. I'm sad that we didn't see that one. That one I was very excited about with Meddling Mage and Void Mage Prodigy.
Yeah, he said he ran into a bunch of aggro today and just got stomped. I think his matchups are a little better against control and combo.
Well, it looks like, I think looking at his sideboard, he was a little bit more prepared for like the red aggro. He has Engineered Plagues and he has the Hydroblasts, but not really anything else for aggro. He has like Renewed Faith for aggro. So, although it doesn't seem too bad. I mean, he has Swords to Plowshares and Smother.
Yeah, I didn't use Hydroblast all day. Never brought it in.
Well, if you'd played against the Erratic Explosion deck, it would have been a good one. Oh man, we saw this on camera, but I just want to talk about it because it was cool. The Taking Turns deck from Raja.
Oh man, that deck excites me.
He ran all 12 Time Warps.
Yeah,
and he had Exhaustion as his Taking Turns, and then he has Howling Mine, Amplable Garden to like filter through and draw to find those other cards, counters, and Palancron. I think is his win con.
Yeah, he's got Palancron and a Mishra's Factory.
That's a pretty fun one.
Yeah, I played that deck in an earlier tournament, and he got me. I was like on red, black kind of stock goblins, and he managed to get me in 3 games. It was crazy. It was just like take all the turns, tap all your stuff, just keep going, kill me with the Palancron. It was great.
Yeah, that deck's real fun. I think we saw it start to go off, and then it sort of stumbled a little bit. But he was playing against the small number of land green stompy deck, and it was just fast enough that he couldn't quite get there. And he drew. I guess for this tournament, he changed up the mana base a little bit, and he's running more Ancient Tombs, and he was running a Cephalic Coliseum. Dealt himself enough damage off the lands.
Yeah.
It's a theme. It's a theme. Mana bases are important. Ugh. But yeah. Yeah, so there was another. There were two. The only repeated deck in the tournament was mono white with land tax. One version, Matt Bronze had Scroll Rack and went a little bit harder on that plan. And one version, Angelo's, had didn't have Scroll Rack and had more creatures. Yeah. So yeah, Angelo's running Imperial Armor, and Matt was running like Firestorm, and a couple other more Lightning Bolts, that kind of thing. But yeah, they're both pretty cool lists. That idea of like aggro, land tax, rack, whatever is a pretty fun one. I played this version but more prisony, or played this deck but more prisony before, and it's fun. Although I found it a little bit hard to realize the benefits of tax rack. I feel like tax rack is outclassed by some of the other draw engines in the format.
Yeah, I have an Esper tax rack deck that I like a lot. I'm not sure it's ready for prime time, but yeah, it takes a while to set up, and it's really weak to Pernicious Deed, for example.
Oh yeah.
So that running around your meta is just, you do all this work to get to get your Rube Goldberg machine ready, and then they just deed it all away.
Yeah. It was. I think we're going to wrap up these interviews here. Great job in the last round, both of you. We're going to talk to our final winner, John Hammock, who I think both of you ended up playing in the Swiss. Is that right?
Yeah.
So he was the final winner, and we'll get a quick interview with him and sign off for the day. So thanks again for playing, both of you.
Thanks, guys. See ya.